Thank you for viewing this introductory training on the child nutrition programs. This webinar is designed to provide basic information about the USDA child nutrition programs in the state of Indiana. USDA child nutrition programs help schools receive both reimbursement and food for eligible meals to students. An eligible meal is determined by the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, the federal agency that distributes the taxpayer-supported funding and oversees the National School Lunch and Breakfast programs. The Indiana Department of Education Office of School and Community Nutrition works with schools to make a difference in children's lives through healthy eating. Research has shown that poor nutrition habits are partly to blame for the growing child obesity epidemic. How can the child nutrition programs in schools make a difference in children's lives? Through research, it is shown that children and adolescents who participate in the National School Breakfast Program have reduced absenteeism and tardiness, improved classroom behavior, and boost students' academic performance, grades, and test scores. Children and adolescents who participate in the National School Lunch Program are found to have higher quality dietary intake by consuming fewer empty calories and more milk, fruit, vegetables, and fiber than their peers. School lunches are healthier than packed lunch from home. School lunch participation is associated with a lower body mass index, BMI. The National School Lunch Act was signed by President Harry S. Truman in 1946. In 1966, the Child Nutrition Act established the school breakfast programs and was signed by Lyndon B. Johnson. The important thing to keep in mind is that the policies that are discussed in the remaining webinars mainly come from the federal government, which distributes the primary funding for the program. Let's first talk about the school lunch program. Meals served in the National School Lunch Program must provide a third of a child's nutritional requirements for the day for nutrients such as protein, vitamin A, vitamin C, iron, calcium, and calorie needs. Schools are able to provide these nutritional requirements by properly implementing the required meal pattern of the National School Lunch Program. It is very important to make sure to properly implement the lunch meal pattern because this is one of the many areas evaluated that can lead to disallowance of meals claimed for reimbursement during a state review. The funding each school receives is based on the number of reimbursable meals actually served, not prepared. The lunch meal pattern determines what comprises a reimbursable meal. One important thing to always keep in mind is that the program supports meals only for students. Reimbursement may not subsidize adult meals. Adults can purchase meals, but they must pay full price for the meals. One question for new schools or new food service directors entering the program is how much should be charged for a meal and how are schools paid? Schools will either follow a pricing program or a non-pricing program. For schools that might be eligible to participate in a non-pricing program, a school nutrition field specialist will be assigned to help the school determine eligibility. This presentation will explain the basics of a pricing program, but the presentation will not go into detail about non-pricing. First, all child nutrition programs are reimbursement programs. Schools receive reimbursement for each eligible paid, free, or reduced lunch that they serve. Schools determine if a student is paid, free, or reduced through the free and reduced price application process. A proper application approval system is necessary to ensure that there is accuracy for claiming and counting daily meals. Schools may only claim one lunch per child per day. If a child would like a second lunch, the school must be careful to not claim that meal. The student must be charged the full adult price for the second meal. To view the reimbursement rates for lunch or breakfast, go to the school nutrition program's website. For pricing guidance, a school must follow these rules under the National School Lunch Program. A free lunch is truly a free lunch. You cannot charge anything. Students eligible for a reduced lunch cannot be charged more than 40 cents. Due to eligible guidelines regarding price equity, school corporations must determine the cost of a full price meal by taking the free reimbursement rate and subtract the paid reimbursement rate. As mentioned in the previous slide, remember that adult meals cannot be subsidized by student meal prices or a la carte sales. Check out the school nutrition program's website to determine how to set an adult meal price. Eligible schools can receive food commodities for USDA that are offered at a discounted rate to help with food costs. It takes a full year of being on the National School Lunch Program before the school can start to receive food commodities. Now let's talk about the National School Breakfast Program. If the school chooses to participate in the school breakfast program, the meal pattern must provide a fourth of the child's nutritional requirements for the day for specific nutrients and calorie needs. Also, like the lunch program, schools are able to meet these nutritional requirements by properly implementing the required meal pattern for the National School Lunch Program. Sponsors must demonstrate regulatory compliance at all times. Reimbursement and charging requirements of the breakfast program are similar to the lunch program. Like the lunch program, schools receive reimbursement for each eligible paid, free, or reduced breakfast that they serve. Schools may only claim one breakfast per child per day. So if a child would want an additional breakfast, they would need to be charged the adult price, and this would be not included in the claim for reimbursement. Pricing guidance, the school must follow these rules under the National School Breakfast Program. A free breakfast is a free breakfast. The meal is served at no charge to a student eligible for free meals unless that student wishes to have more than one breakfast. A student eligible for reduced breakfast cannot be charged more than 30 cents. There are no specific regulations for breakfast prices, but schools should be pricing their breakfast appropriately. Appropriate breakfast prices should always be based upon the total average cost per meal per person. There are several ways to determine this figure. Check out the School Nutrition Program's website for more information. And check out the School Nutrition Program's website to determine how to set an adult meal price. Let's talk about program participation. Our final section of this webinar goes over the different requirements a school can participate. A school has two options. First, take on full program responsibility, which requires signing an Indiana Department of Education agreement. Or second, be a site sponsored by another school. If the school does decide to sign an agreement with the Indiana Department of Education, there are additional decisions to make. Will the school prepare meals at the school? Will they have another school prepare the meals? Or do they wish to contract with a catering company or food service management company to prepare meals? The best way to decide is to talk over the options with a school nutrition specialist. If a school needs to procure or bid for catering company or food service management company, this process should be started as soon as possible to make sure the proper procurement and paperwork is followed. Please contact the state agency if wanting to use a food service management company or catering company for your program. Now let's review what we covered in this introductory webinar. First, the amount of money USDA provides for a free, reduced, or paid breakfast or lunch and the value of USDA foods is determined annually and can be found on the Indiana Department of Education's website. Second, all school lunches must provide a third and school breakfast a fourth of the child's nutritional requirements for the day. Schools are able to help meet these requirements through implementing the meal pattern for lunch and breakfast. Third, students who are eligible for a reduced price meal can be charged a maximum of 40 cents for lunch and 30 cents for breakfast. Finally, if a school wants to set up an agreement with the Indiana Department of Education, they must decide on whether to self-prepare school meals, contract school meals out with another school, use a catering company, or use a food service management company. Thanks so much for viewing this training session on the introduction to the USDA Child Nutrition Programs. For questions or concerns, please contact your state agency at 317-232-0850 or 800-537-1142.